Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the part 2 of our movie app using React and Redux Toolkit. So in this video, we will continue to enhance our application and we will see how we can convert a synchronous action creator into an async action creator using a middleware Thunk. So if you have missed the part 1, then you can click on the card above and jump to it directly. Let me show you the demo that we are going to build in this video. So this is the application that we are going to build, and if you see that we have a header with a logo, and on the right hand side we have the user icon. After that we have the movies section and we fetch all the movies from the API, and then we store these movies in our Redux store. And if I scroll down, then you will see that we have another section which is the shows, which will display all the shows. So if I hover on any of the movie card, then you will see that we have a very smooth transition with the CSS. And if I click on any of the movie, then we go to the movie details page where we see the ratings of the movie, votes, the runtime and the year, and some details about the movie. So if I click on the logo, then we go back to the home page. And let me show you the Redux store that we have for this project. So if I go to the inspect element and in the Redux tab, then you will see that these are the actions that are being dispatched. So first we have the add movies, which actually fetch all the movies and add it to our store. Then we have the add shows, which fetches all the shows, and then we add it to our Redux store. And then when we click on any of the movie card, then we have a select movie or the shows, which we go to the detail page of that particular movie or the shows. If I click on the state tab, then you will see that we have three states: movies, shows, and selected movies or the shows. And apart from that, we also have a route, which is the page not found. So if we go to some random route, then we will go to the page not found page. And then we can click on the logo and we can go back to our home page. So this is what we are going to build in this video. So this is going to be a very interesting project, and we are going to learn a lot of stuffs on React, Redux Toolkit, SASS, React Router DOM, and Axios. So if this sounds interesting, then stick around. Also, don't forget to subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. So let's get started. Alright guys, so if you are a student or a working professional who is looking for a great career in software development, then you have to think about the aspects like what's trending in the industry or the kind of questions being asked in the interviews. What's the thought process behind the architecture of a great applications like Google, Amazon, Zomato, and Ola, or how to improve your CodeChef ranking. So Unacademy is providing a platform where you can have access to the weekly shows which you can watch live, and the host of these shows are working with some of the top companies like Google, Amazon, to name a few. They are 7-star coders on CodeChef and are industry experts with their years of experience. They will walk you through their own industry experience and interact with a lot of guests like HR and industry leaders of the top companies, where they will ask questions raised by you. In the live episodes, you get an opportunity to ask tech HRs about the top 20 interview questions and the industry leaders directly about their recruitment process in startups and MNCs. What's the eligibility and how to apply and how they build such great products. Not limited to this, you can even get your resume and your college or personal projects improved by getting them reviewed by the experts software development engineers. Not only this, you can participate in the mock interviews and learn courses on programming languages, cloud computing, blockchain and crypto, tech aspects of digital marketing, data analytics. Have you ever wondered how to apply for jobs in a service-based company? Get your chance to understand the entire hiring process, where to apply, how to study for tests, and what to prepare for interviews from Anshul, who himself has mentored more than 300 students and helped them in getting placements in companies like Capgemini and Accenture. In this show, you will get to understand how to prepare yourself for placements in Capgemini, get in-depth information about Capgemini offline hiring process, what type of questions are generally asked, and how to make sure your resume stands out from the crowd. Also get a chance to interact with Anshul live on the show, who will be there to answer your questions. And you can get your daily dose of learning and many such shows at one price, rupees 999 per year. And if you use my code Dipesh01, then you will get a 10% discount and get the subscription at 899 per year only. You will find all the links related to the Unacademy platform in the description below, along with the discount code that you can use for subscription. All right, guys, so I'm using the same application code which we built in our previous video. And what we are going to do now is if I show you that what we have built so far, then we have the header completely done. We have the footer done, and we are able to fetch the movies from the server and then add it to the Redux store and then retrieve it from the Redux store and then display it on the screen. So we also want that right now what we are using is we are making use of a synchronous action creators. But what we will do is we are going to convert this synchronous action creator into an async action creator with the help of a middleware Thunk. So what we will do is first let's go to the slice. So I will go to the slice, and inside the slice what we need to do is we need to import the create async Thunk. So what I will do is I will go here and I will do a create async Thunk. All right. And then what we will do is we are going to create a constant. So let's create a constant and we will fetch all the movies with the help of this async Thunk. So right now what we do is in the home.js, we actually created a function which is the fetch movies, which actually calls the API and gets the data. So we don't want that we fetch the movies in our component and then we dispatch the synchronous action creator. So what we are going to do is we need to remove this piece of information from here and put it in our slice. And we are going to make an API call with the help of the async action creator. So what I will do is I'm going to write a constant with a fetch async movies, and this is equals to the create async Thunk which we have imported. All right. And this async Thunk takes two arguments. The first one is the a simple string identifier for our async action creator. So what I will do is the usual naming convention is I give it with the help of this name and then whatever the function I want. So I'm going to write it like this: movies slash fetch async movies. And the second parameter is the payload creator callback function. So I'm going to write a callback function. So this is going to be an arrow function and we are going to use async await. So let me add an async keyword here. All right. And there is a third parameter as well to this create async Thunk, which is an object, and we don't want this for this project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first let's go to the home. All right. And let's remove this piece of information from here. And I will remove everything from here. Okay. And then I'm going to add it here. All right. So we have the async. We created a constant with a response and we have the async await. So we need to import the movie API. So let's go here and let's remove this. I will cut it and I'm going to add it here. All right. So now we have the movie API and the movie API key. We are able to make an API call and I'm just going to remove this error from here. All right. And we will also want the movie text. So for the movie text, what I will do, I will go to the home component and I'm going to cut it from here and I will just add this here. So I'm going to add it here. All right, I will just remove the space. And what we want is we don't want to dispatch anything. So we are going to get the response and then we are just going to do a return of response dot data. So I'm just going to remove this. All right, so now this we have returned an async action creator. And what we will have to do next is we are going to take this and we will be using a extraReducer. So in the previous video, I explained that when we use the Redux toolkit, then inside the slice, we have four stuffs. The first one is the name of the slice. Then the second is the initial state. The third one was the reducer and the fourth one was the extraReducer. So we are going to make use of an extraReducer here. All right, so let's go here and let's write the extraReducer. Okay, and this will be an object. And inside the object, what I will do is a bit kind of a weird syntax, but yeah, you will get along. So what we are doing is we are using this fetch async movies. All right. So this fetch async movies will have some additional action creators, and that action creators will actually define the life cycle of an async request. So we are going to see all the async action creator which defines the life cycle. So the first one will be the fetch async dot pending. So I'm going to add the pending here. All right, and this is going to be equals to an arrow function. So let me add an arrow function. And for now, I'm just simply going to do a console.log and I'm going to write a pending here. All right. And the next will be that it will be a fulfill. So when the request is fulfilled, we are going to have another action creator, and that will be the fetch async movies fulfilled. So I'm going to write here fulfilled. And when it is fulfilled, it's going to give me a state, and then I'm going to have the payload. So I'm going to add a payload here. All right. And what we will do is we are going to write here fetched successfully, and then we are going to simply return the first we are going to take whatever the initial state is. So I'm going to do a dot 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 state. All right. And then we are going to assign the payload to the movies. So this is the movies. So let's copy this. All right. And the value will be the new payload we have. All right. So this is how we are going to write it. And there will be a third action creator, that is the rejected. So in case that if you are making an async API call, and in that case you get a failure of the API call, then it will go to the rejected. So in the rejected case, we are not going to add anything, and I'm simply going to write it as rejected. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm simply going to do a rejected. All right. And it's not going to return anything. All right, so now we have created the async action creator, which is using our middleware Thunk, and we have also added the extra reducers. Now let's give a try. So what I will do is I will go in the home component. We are not going to use the fetch movies. So I'm simply going to remove this. All right, we already have the dispatch. And what we are going to do is I will just remove this, and we will dispatch the action. So I will do a dispatch, and the name of our action creator is fetch async. So let me write the async movies. All right. And I will just do an import of it. So I cannot import it. I guess I haven't did an export. So what we will do is we are just going to write an export here. Okay. So now we have it, and let's import it. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to write a fetch async movies, and we don't want this add movies anymore. So let me remove this. All right. And the last thing we see that we have a warning for the dispatch as a dependency. So let me add a dispatch here. So I will add the dispatch, and everything is now working fine. And let's give a try. So I will go here, and I will do a refresh, and I can see that we don't see the movies. So let me go to the inspect element, and in the console, if we see, okay, so we don't see anything, and that's because we have to do an function call here. All right, so now I save it, and if we see that first we get the pending, which is this one, the action creator we have, the async action creator, and that one is the pending. And once we get the data, it becomes fetched successfully. So this is the fetch successfully, and we then assign the values to the state. So let's go to our Redux store. All right, and inside our Redux store, we will see that first we get the fetch async movies as pending. And in that case, we haven't assigned any state while it is pending. And when it is fulfilled, we actually assign a state, which is the movies. So if we go to the state, then we will be able to see that we have the movies. And when we have it here, what we do is we go to the movie listing. So let me minimize this back, and we go to the movie listing. So let's go to the movie listing, and inside the movie listing, we are able to fetch the movies. So that's how we created an synchronous action creator to an async action creator using a middleware Thunk in Redux Toolkit. So the other thing is we also want to have the shows. So let's fetch the shows as well. So what I will do, I will go to the movie slice again, and I'm just simply going to do a copy paste of this. All right. And this will become fetch async shows. So I'm going to change this to shows. All right. And I will change this to shows. So this will become shows. And I will change this as well. So the movie text will become series text. All right, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to add it here. And instead of type, we are going to have a series. So if you have forgot, then we can see that we have the OMDB API. And inside the OMDB API, we have the parameters. So if you see that the type, so I'm right now going to fetch the series. So I'm going to put the type as series. So let's go here and let add the series. All right, this will become the series text, which we have it. And we are going to search for friends. All right, we are going to get the data. And what we are going to do is we are going to add one more property to our state, which is the shows, and which will be an object. All right. So let's go now here, and we are going to add the fulfill. So we are not going to add all the pending, fulfill, and rejected for the shows as well. We are just going to take the fulfill because right now we only need the fulfill. And if we go here, let's change this to shows. All right, and fetch successfully, and this will become shows. All right, so we have added one more async action creator, and now let's go to our home and let's make a use of it. And here we are fetching the async movies, so let's add the shows as well. So I'm going to add one more dispatch, and this will change to shows. So let's add the shows. All right, so now we have okay, so we haven't added we haven't imported the shows, so let me copy this and let me add this here. All right, so now we have the movies and the shows as well. Now if we go here and we see, then we only see the movies, so there's no section for the shows. So let's add one more section. So we are going to go to the movie listing, and inside the movie listing, what we will do is we are going to create another movie list. So I'm going to copy this. All right, and I'm going to add it here, and instead of movie list, I'm going to give a show list here. This will change to shows. All right, and this will be still a movie container, let it be, and we are going to change this to render shows. All right, now let's create the render show variables. So I'm going to add the render shows as well here. So let me add render shows. All right, and what we can do is we can simply do a copy paste of this, so it's more or like the same. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to add it here. All right, and we have to fetch the shows, so I'm going to copy this and I'm going to add it here. So get all shows, so I will write get all shows, and this will become shows. So, but we can see that we don't have get all shows function in our slice. So let's go to the slice, and I'm just going to do a copy and paste, and this is going to change to get all shows. So let me add shows here. This will be state.movies.shows. So we have the shows here. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to add it here. Okay, so now we also have get all shows. So let's go to the listing, and inside the listing, I'm just going to import get all shows so that we can have these shows. Now I'm going to copy this shows, and let's do this, the render shows. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to add as shows. So let me add as shows, and these movies will become to shows. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to change this to shows. All right, so now if I go here and if I refresh the page, then we see the movies, and below movies we also have the shows. So this is how we actually fetch the movies and shows both. But if we see, then we can see that there is a bit of change in the CSS styling. So let's go and add the CSS styling. So what I will do is I'm going to open the movie listing. Okay, and inside the movie listing, what I will do is I'm going to add the dot show list. So we want the same styling to the show list, and the H2, we want the same styling to the H2 as well. So now let's go and check. So if I refresh my page, then we see that we have the movies, we have the shows, and we have everything working fine. So now let's go and see in the inspect element that what actually happened in our state. So if I go to the Redux and if I refresh my page, then you will see that first we do the fetch async movies, which is pending. At the same time, we have the fetch async shows, which is pending, and then they both get fulfilled. So if I click on the state, then we are going to see movies and we are going to see the shows. Okay, so next what we are going to do is we are going to add an animation stuff here, so that when we hover it, as we saw in the demo, when we hover it, it actually scales a little bit. So what we will do is we are going to add animation on each individual movie card. So let's go to our code. All right, and we have the movie card here. And to this, what we will do is we are going to add a transition. So let me add a transition of all, and the transition duration will be 3.5s. Okay, and then what we want is when we actually hover on the card. So let me add the hover. All right, and when we want to hover the card, we just want to scale the card a little bit. So I'm going to do a transform, and I'm going to do a scale, and the scale will be 1.1. All right, and for that scaling, I need a transition. So let me add a transition here, and we will have the same transition what we have when we hover out our mouse. All right, so now let's go and check that we have the transition or not. So if I go here, then you will see that when I hover it, we get a very smooth and a beautiful transition on our movie cards. All right, so we are done with our movie listing where we actually list the movies and the shows. The next thing we need to do is we need to have a movie details page so that when I click on any of the movie, I should be able to go to the movie details page and should be able to read all the details of the movies. So we are going to add a link here so that when we click on any of the movie, we actually navigate to the movie details page. So let's go to our code and we need to go to the movie card. So let's go to our movie card. Okay. And we need to add a link here. So I will going to import the link. So let me import a link, and this link will be coming from the React Router DOM. All right, and where I'm going to add the link is I'm going to add the link after the item. So I'm going to add a link here, and I'm going to add a to, which will be equals to the, so I'm going to add a backticks, and the path it will go to is if we go on our app component. So let me go to the app component, and in the app you can see the path is the movie slash the ID. So let's copy this and let's go here and let's add the path. All right, so what we need is we need this IMDb ID should be coming from the when we click on any of the movies. So what we will do is if I show you here and let's go to the inspect, and inside the inspect in the Redux, you will see that for each of the movie. So if I go to the state and let's expand this, then you will see that each of the movie has an IMDb ID. So we will pass this data, the piece of information in the form of a prop. So let's go to our Visual Studio Code. All right. And in the movie listing, you will see that we pass the data. So in this data, we pass the complete movie object. So we will be having this data as a prop. So if we go here and we have the prop, we have the data. So this piece will be changed to, so let me add this dollar, and this is going to change to data dot imdb id. All right, so we have it, and I'm going to close this link. I will cut this and I'm going to add it here. Okay, so now let's go and check. So if I minimize this, if I come here and if I refresh my page and if I click on it, then you will see that we go to the page with the movie and the ID of the movie. So now what we want is we need to take this ID, make an API call and fetch the details of this movie and then display it on the screen. So what we need is we need to work on the movie detail component. So let's go to our code. All right, I will just adjust my screens. Okay, so I'm going to close some of the tabs which I don't want it. So I'm going to close this as well. I'm going to close the movie card. I'm going to close the home as well. And we are going to completely focus on the movie details. All right, so I'm going to open the movie details. At one side, I will open the SAS file, and other I'm going to do the JS file. So before going to the movie details, let's create a async action creator for the fetching of the movie details. So let's go to our slice, and inside the slice, I'm simply going to do a copy paste. So what I will do, I'm going to go to the here and I'm going to copy this. All right. And then I'm going to add it here, and this will become as fetch async movie or show detail. So this is going to give me a movie or a show detail. So I don't need this. So I'm going to remove this. So we are going to pass an ID. Based on that ID, we need to fetch the detail of that movie. So we are going to make an API call with a get, which will have the API key as API key. And here we need to make the change. So what I'm going to do is here, what we need is we need the add a parameter, a query param of an ID. So if we go to the OMDB and if we see that we have an parameter I, which is going to be a valid IMDb ID. And then we are also going to get the plot, and we can get the plot as full or the short. So we are going to add that. So I will go here. I'm going to add I, and this I will be equals to dollar, whatever the ID I pass. And then I'm going to need the plot. So I will have the plot as full. All right. And this plot P should be capital. All right, then I'm going to do this. I will get the response and I'm going to return the response dot data. So the next thing is we need to write the extra reducer for it. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to add it here. And this will be changed to movie or show detail. All right, when it is fulfilled, I'm going to have the state and payload and it is fetched successfully. And here I need to add one more property to my state. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to add selected movie or show. All right, and I'm going to give this as an object. Okay, so now we are going to set the value for this and I'm going to copy this and I'm going to add it here. All right, so now we have the fetch async movie or a show detail as well. We have made an async request to the server and we get the data and we add the data in the store. So let's go to our movie details. So the first thing we need is we need to get the ID which we can pass to our action creator. So to get the ID from the URL, we make use of a use param. So if I go here and if I see here, then we see that this ID and we need to get this ID. So we can get this ID based on the use param hook. So let's go back and I'm going to do an import use param. All right, from the React router. And then I'm going to write a constant and this constant will give me the IMDB ID and this will be equals to the use params. All right, now I have the ID and I need to do a dispatch of my action creator. So let's go here and I'm going to do an import of the use dispatch. All right, so what I will do is I'm going to write here a constant dispatch is equals to the use dispatch. All right, and then we have to dispatch the action creator. So we will need a use effect as well. So I'm going to add a use effect. So I will write a use effect. Okay, and that will have an arrow function. All right, and it's going to have a dependency. And here I can actually do a dispatch of my async action creator. So let me add a dispatch and name of our async action creator is actually fetch async movie or the details. All right. And we need to pass the ID inside it. So let me do a copy of this and let me add the ID. All right, so now we have it. And if we see that we get a missing dependency warning, so let's copy the dispatch and add the dispatch here. And we also want to run the use effect whenever we change the ID. So whenever the ID is changed, we have to fetch the detail of a new ID from the server and get the data to be displayed on the screen. So I'm going to add the ID as well. All right, so we have it. Now we need to get the details from the store. So to get the details from the store, usually we use the use select. So let me add a constant. I'm going to add the data and this will be equals to the use selector. All right. And we are going to add a get selected movie or show. But right now we don't have anything exported with the name of the get selected movie or a show from our slice. So let's go to our slice and I'm going to add another export constant. So I'm going to copy this, add it, and then let's go to the details. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to add this here. So let me add it here. And this, instead of the shows, what we need to add is we need to add the select movie or a show. So I'm going to copy this and add it here. Okay, so we have created it and then let's go to our movie details. So we can see that we have an error and this says that this is not defined. So I will just do a copy of it and I'm going to add it here. So now we have it, we get the data as well. So if I do a console log of this data, then we get the complete details of the movie or a show, which we have clicked. So let's go here and let's do a refresh. All right, if I go and inspect it, then I should be able to see the object. All right, and this says that IMDb is incorrect. So let's go to the network and let's see. So if I see here, then I will see that I have missed the URL is not correct. I have a dollar here. Instead of dollar, I should have an and operator. So let's go to our code. All right, and let's go to the slice, and inside the slice we made a mistake, and that is here. So I will go here and I'm going to add the and here. All right, I will save it. And now if I refresh my page, then I should be able to get a 200 as a response, and I get all the details. So now we have all the details of the movie. So now we just need to display these details on our screen. So let's go and write our component and the CSS for that. All right. So I will go to my movie detail. All right. And inside the movie detail, I'm just going to write the JSX. All right. So let me remove this and add a multi-line JSX. So I will add a div with a class name, and name is the movie section. Okay, then inside that I'm going to add a div with a class name, and I'm going to add a section left. All right, and then inside that I'm going to have a div with a class name of a movie title. So I'm going to add the title. So you must be thinking that what I am writing this and what is the JSX about. So if you have forgot our demo app, so let me show you the demo app. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to add a localhost 3000. And if I click on it, then you will see that we have two sections. This is the left section and this is the right section. So we are making a JSX for this part. All right, let's go back. We have the movie title, and for the movie title we have the data dot title. All right, you can see all this information from our store. So if I go here, if I do an inspect element, and then if I go to the Redux, then you will be able to see all the title, year, rated. So we are taking all these values and just displaying it on the screen. So let's go back to Visual Studio Code. Okay, we have the movie title, and next we are going to have a div with a class name of movie rating. All right, and then inside that I'm going to have a span, and I will have IMDb rating, and then I'm going to have a I tag, and then I have a class name. So we have already added the font awesome link in our code. So we are just going to use the classes to get the icons. So I'm going to add the icon of a star. All right. And then I just need to add the value. So for that, I'm going to add the data dot IMDb rating. All right, then I'm just going to do a bit of copy paste of this information. So 2 and 4 times. Okay, this will change to votes. This will change to runtime. So I have misspelled the runtime. And the last one will change to the year. So I'm going to select this and I will change this to year. All right, and for this, it is going to be FA thumbs up. For this, it's going to be a film. And for this, it's going to be a calendar. So let me add a calendar. So now let's change this rating to votes. So I'm going to add the votes here. All right. And for this, I'm going to change this to runtime. And for this one, I'm going to change it to year. Okay, so now we have this, and the next is we need to display the movie plot after the movie rating section. So I'm going to add a div with a class name, and I'm going to give a movie plot. All right, and then for that I'm going to have the data dot plot. All right, and then after that I need to display the div with a class name of movie info. Okay, and then inside that I'm going to have a div with a span, and the span will have the director. Okay, then I'm going to have another span where I'm going to have the name of the director. So I'm going to do a simple data dot director. All right, and then I'm going to just do a copy paste. So I'm going to add one more section here, one more here, one more here. All right, so we are going to change this to stars, and this will become the actors. For this, we will change to genres, and this is going to become genre. And this I will go to change to the languages, and this will become language. All right, and I'm going to add one more section, which is going to be the awards. So let me add awards. So I will change this to awards. All right, so now we have everything on the left section, and on the right section, we are going to have simply the poster. the image of the movie. So let me go to the left section. So the left section ends here. So I'm going to create a div with a class name of section right. So I'm going to give the image source, and then I'm going to have the alt tag. All right, I'm just going to close the tag. And for the alt tag, I'm going to add the title. So let me add the data.title. And for the image, it will be data.poster. So I want to have this capital P. All right, so now let's go and let's see how it looks. So if I go here and let's go here and I will refresh the page. I'm going to click it here and I can see that I have all the information, but I need to add the styling to this information. So let's go and add the CSS. All right, so I have this here, the CSS file, and we have the JSX here. So first and foremost, we need to have to import the colors. So let me add the import, and this will be dot slash common, and then we have the colors dot sass. All right, and then first we will have the movie section, and this movie section will have the display as flex. We're going to have the justify content as space evenly. All right, then we are going to have a padding, and this padding will be equals to the 40 pixel, 0 pixel. All right, then we are going to have the color, and the color will be font primary. All right, and then I'm going to have the font weight, and that font weight will be equals to 400. All right, so we have added the CSS for the movie section, and now next we are going to have it to the movie rating. And for the movie rating, I'm going to give a padding left of 3 pixel. I'm going to have a margin top of 20 pixel. So I'm not going much into the CSS. I have a lot of videos on the CSS. If you are new to the CSS part, you can check out those videos. So then we are going to have the color, and I'm going to have the color as font secondary, and I will have the display as flex. All right, let's go and check how it looks. So if I refresh it, then we are not able to see anything. And that is because we haven't added the movie details in this. So let's import it. So I'm going to write import, and that will be the movie detail.sass. All right, and now let's see that what we have. Okay, so now we can see that we have the CSS and it's getting changed a little bit. So let's add more CSS styles. All right, and then inside the movie rating, I have a span. So let me add a CSS to the span, and I'm going to give a margin right of 20 pixel. And then after that, I have a movie title. So let me add a movie title, and to the movie title, I'm going to give a font size of 40 pixel. And then I'm going to give a color, and that will be the font primary. All right, so I have the movie title as well. Then we will have to the movie plot. So after the movie title, I have a movie plot. So let's go here, and I have the movie plot. And to the movie plot, so I have missed the L. And I'm going to give a margin top of 20 pixel, and I'm going to give a line height of 1.8 rem. And after that, I have a movie info, and inside the movie info, so inside the movie info, if we see that we have a div, so I'm going to add a div, and then I'm going to have a span of first child. So let me add a CSS to the first child, and what I'm going to give is I'm going to give a padding of 10 pixel, 0 pixel, and then I'm going to have a color, and I'm going to give a font primary, and I'm going to give a font weight. So I'm going to have a font weight of 600, and I'm going to have a width of 100 pixel, and I'm going to give a display inline block. All right, and then what I'm going to do is for the other span, so I'm going to have a movie info. Inside that, I'm going to have a div where I'm going to have a span, and for that I'm going to give a color, and that color will be the font secondary. All right, so now let's go and see how it looks. So if I go to my page and if I refresh it, then we can see that we have all the information of the movie, but we see that there is no plot or there's a lot of space here. So that we need to check what happened. So if I do an inspect, all right, and let's go here, and in this section we have the movie rating, we have the it, and for the plot we actually misspell the pixels. So this is what the problem is. So let's go to the code here, and here let's make it as px. All right, and now let's see again. So it should be fixed now. So now we can see that we have all the information and it looks properly. But we want to make a change on these icons. So let's add the CSS for the icons. So first I'm going to give a CSS to the star, and for that I'm going to give a color of hash ff9e00. All right, I'm just going to do a copy paste. All right, and then I'm going to give it as a thumbs up, and I'm going to give a color of FA, FA, FA. All right, then I'm going to give a film, and for that I'm going to give a color of RGBA, and the value will be 191, 213, 214. And I don't want to give an alpha value, so I'm just going to remove the alpha. Okay, and then for the calendar, I want to give a color of peach puff. So I will just remove this hash. We don't want it. All right, so we have given it. And then for the right hand section, for where the poster is, I'm just going to give a margin left. So I'm going to have the section, and this will be right. And I'm going to give a margin left of 30 pixel. All right, so now let's go and let's see. So if I refresh my page, then you can see that we have it properly. We have all the information and the posters. So let's go back and let's click here. So we can see we have the information, and this time I'm going to click on the shows, and we see that we have a problem here. So if I go back and if I click on the other show, then you will see that the details of the previous show are still visible. So if I click here, then you will see that it's changed later on. So what we are going to do is we are going to write a cleanup function in our use effect. So let's go to our code, and inside the code, if we go here and let me go to the details, and inside the details, if we see here, then in this we can have a cleanup function. So if you don't know about the use effect, then I have a complete video on it. I will add the link in the description below. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to return here. So let me add a return, and inside the return I will have a function, and here I'm going to do the cleanup. So what happened, I will do a dispatch a action which will be the remove selected movie or a show. So let me add a remove selected movie or show. All right, but you will see that right now we don't have any remove selected movie or a show action creator. So let's go to our slice, and this is not an something async action creator, so we will be using a reducer this time to write this. So if I go to the reducer, then I'm going to write a remove selected movie or show. All right, and this is going to have a state. I will have an arrow function, and I will add a state here. Okay, and what we will do is we are just going to remove the selected movie or a show. So state dot selected movie or show, and this will become an empty object again. All right, we actually don't want this add movies as well, because now this add movie is a part of fetch async movies. So I'm going to remove this as well. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to export this action. So let's go to the actions, and here I don't want this. We removed the add movies, and I will just export the action. Now let's import this action here. Go here. So let me first remove this, and I'm going to add the action here. And then I'm just going to add the function here. All right, now let's see and let's check. So if I go here, if I refresh my page, and if I click on the movies, then we can see that we get the movies. So let's go to the Redux store as well. And inside the Redux store, if I click on the back, then you will see that we have a action creator, which is the remove selected movie or a show. So if I click on the state, it is actually going to remove the selected movie or the show. All right. So if I click on the other, so let's click here and we will see that we see the friends directly. So this way, I mean, we can actually fix that part. And one more thing, what we can do is when we click on any of the movie, I first need to do a loading of the information. If I don't do the loading, then I will still see these values as the blank values. So for that, what we will do is let's go to our code. All right. And inside our code, we have this JSX for the left hand section and for the right hand section. So what we can do is let me add a fragment here. So I'm going to add a fragment here and a fragment here. All right, so now I have a fragment, and what we will do is we are going to add a condition here, and that condition would be that if the, so let me add a condition here. So what I will do, if objects dot keys of data. So if we have this data, then only we want to render the JSX. Otherwise, we are going to have a different kind of a JSX. So I'm going to have the key as data dot length, and this length is equal to 0. So if it's true, then in that case, what we want is we need to have a different kind of a JSX. So let me add a div, and I'm going to close the div. All right. And then I'm simply going to have dot 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 loading. All right. And if it's false, then in that case, I want to have the JSX. Okay. So I will just remove this from here, and this will be a bracket. So I'm going to add a bracket here. And if the other case, then I'm going to add a bracket here, and that bracket will be closed in the last. So I'm going to have it here. So I'm going to close the bracket and I'm going to close this. All right. So now we have this, and now let's go and test our application. So if I go back and if I do a refresh, I'm able to fetch all my data properly. Then if I click on the movie, then I can go to the movie. If I click on the back and I can go to some other show, then we are having a loading, and then we are able to display the information. And this is how easy is to use the Redux toolkit. And I really like to use the Redux toolkit and do the stuff in a new way as compared to the old Redux stuff. So if we go to the Redux store, we have a lot of actions, the async actions and as well as the synchronous actions. And this is how our state looks like. So that's all I have in this video. I hope you like the video. Thumbs up is appreciated. And I think that now you have a good grasp of using the Redux toolkit with your React.js projects. So that's all I have in this video. I hope now you understood the Redux and the Redux toolkit very well with this project, and you can use the Redux, which makes it very easy to manage the state of your project. So if you like the video, a thumbs up is appreciated. You can also connect with me via Facebook or Instagram. I will add the links in the description below. You can also follow me on Twitter for latest update, and you will find the GitHub link of this project in the description so that you can download and play around it. Thank you. Thanks for watching.